Today I'm going to be taking this card to PSA. What grade do you guys think this card is going to come back as? What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Notorimon. Today we are talking about sending Pokemon cards to PSA. Here's how it works. So why should you grade your cards? Well, for two reasons off the top of my head that I could think of would be it adds a layer of protection versus having it in something just like a penny sleeve and a top loader. It's prone to damages. If you have it in a nice encased grading slab, then it's going to keep your card protected for the short term or the long term, as well as adding to the value and the authenticity of your card that you've invested money into. So when it comes to grading, how would you choose your cards? How do you know which cards to send in for grading? My recommendation is, if you're going for a high value card like a PSA 9 or a PSA 10, would to be to check for the centering of the card, to check if there's any damages to the card on the back and on the front side of the card. You don't want there to be any scratches, any scuffs, any whitening on the back of the card. We are going to show you an example today of what a bad card would look like to send in for grading, and then we're also going to show you what a good example of something that I think would get like a PSA 10 or even a PSA 9. So my recommendation would be to send to PSA. The reason being is that it is the most well known in the entire hobby. Everyone knows the name PSA. There's other good alternatives for sending your cards to other companies such as CGC, Beckett, and Tag would be my recommendations of other grading companies you could send them into. They are also very well known in the community. Other grading companies also carry more value than others. For the most part, CGC is one of the more lower end ones in terms of the value. PSA is kind of somewhere right there in the middle, as well as Tag. And Beckett is that's like the top tier, and you're gonna be paying a little bit more to send your cards in through Beckett. But if you get something what's called a Beckett Black Label or like a Pristine 10, that is gonna be like the ultimate value for your card. PSA has a lot of offerings for budget friendly but long turnaround time, all the way up to the premium value and quick turnaround time. So the price range is going to range anywhere from about $19 all the way up to $1,000. But the difference with that, for something with the lower end cost to submit your card, you're going to be looking at about 65 days or more to receive your cards back from grading. Whereas if you go all the way up to $1,000 for the submission, it's going to be about five business days for you to receive your card back. So it really just depends on what are you looking for, what are you looking to do with your card, how fast do you want your card to come back to you. So if time's not a issue or a priority to you, I would definitely recommend going with about like $19 per card submission. You will get your cards back. It's just going to take a lot longer than if you paid that premium on the submission. The reason why there's been such a delay, especially with PSA, is places like GameStop now offer to submit your cards for you, which is a huge bonus, because before GameStop offered this service, you would have to go through and do all the work. You would have to clean your card yourself, you would have to submit the card yourself, put in all the information. Like if you were submitting a Charizard, you would have to say what set it's from, what's the number attached to it, what's the current value on it, all these intricate things. And now GameStop takes care of the entire grading process for you. So I'm going to be walking you through 3 different cards as an example of worst to best of what I'm going to submit and what do I think the grades are going to be on those. We're going to be starting off with the Dark Charizard Holo from Japanese Rocket. Next, we are going to be going over the Blastoise promo from the XY era. And finally, we're going to be looking at the Articuno Illustration Rare from Journey Together out of the Scarlet and Violet era. Just based on looking over each of these cards, I think that this Holo Dark Charizard from the Japanese Rocket set is going to probably come back a PSA 4, 5, or maybe 6 if I'm lucky. I'm not sure if you guys can tell on here, but there are some scratches along the Holo area right here. Also, if you turn it around on the back side, right here, there is some whitening up on the top portion of the card as well as the bottom of the card. There's some whitening. For those reasons, PSA is gonna knock you some points down in terms of the quality and the perfection of the card. The centering looks okay on this, so some things you want to be looking for when it comes to grading cards is how well does it look centered along the borders of the card. Is there any print lines on the Holo area? Are there any scratches or nicks along the edges of the card? Or like I said, there's some scratches on the face of this card. So these are all things you want to keep an eye out for when it comes to submitting grading. Something to consider when you're grading vintage cards is a lot of the time, because the cards are so old, I think this set is from like 97, 98-ish. Just there's going to be lots of wear and tear on this card unless you've had it from the very beginning, and when you were a kid and you started opening packs, you put it in a penny sleeve and top loader right away. I think that's the only possible way you'd probably get a PSA 10 or a PSA 9 in modern times for submitting vintage cards. My predictions for this Blastoise promo, I think, is probably gonna get somewhere between a PSA 6 and a PSA 8. So the centering on this one looks okay. It is a little heavy on the right side of the card. As you see, the left side is thinner on the border and the right side border is a little bit thicker. As well, on the top, it does look like it's a lot thicker on the top border than it does on the bottom border. So for those reasons, those are things that any grading company is going to be looking at in terms of the centering. So just based off of looking at this on first hand, this to me looks like it'll probably get a PSA 7, maybe a PSA 8. So if we look over on the back of this card, there is a little scratch along the top right there. So for that reason, that is also going to dock you some points in terms of the grading. Other than that, the border around the edges looks pretty clean. There might be a little bit of whitening that they might dock me for right about there on the card. But all in all, I'm pretty sure to say this will probably get, at worst, I think this will get a PSA 6. At best, I think this will get a PSA 8. And finally, for the card that I think is most likely to get a PSA 10 is going to be the Articuno Illustration Rare from Journey Together. If you look at the borders along the edges, all of these look to be very centered, equal in spacing. The left to right border looks pretty even, and the bottom to top border also looks pretty even. If you kind of tilt it, a lot of times with the Scarlet and Violet era sets, there will actually be print lines going down and across. It doesn't look like this one has any print lines from production, so that's a good sign. And then if we turn it over on the back side, borders once again look pretty even on the top to bottom, left to right on the back side. I don't really see any whitening on the edges, on the sides. There's no scratches or anything like that. So for that reason, I think that this has a really strong potential for a PSA 10. I think at worst this would probably get a PSA 9. But I'm pretty sure to say that I think this one's going to come back a PSA 10. I hope this video today you found helpful when it comes to submitting cards through PSA or other grading companies. Always make sure to protect your cards using penny sleeves and top loaders, especially the ones that are some of your favorites or some of your holy grail cards. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on all other social medias linked down below in the description if you guys want to stay up to date with what grade we got on each of these cards. And I wish you best of luck if you're intending on sending some cards in for grading, or you already have cards in the grading process right now. Hopefully they all come back as 10s. Thank you so much for watching the video today. I hope you all enjoyed, and make sure you spread love and positivity.